Hello again, everyone. Hopefully you have already watched the How to Navigate the Course website video. If not, please go back and take a look at that video first. That will just sort of help to show you how I've organized everything on the website, which I think will probably be better before we start launching into talking about your final paper. As I mentioned in that previous video, I mentioned that I do provide your final paper information up here at the top of the website. That way it's really easy for you to find throughout the course of the semester. And what I'd like to do here this morning, or it may not be morning for you, it's morning for me. What I'd like to do here for you today is spend just a few minutes talking about this assignment so you know what to expect as we kind of go throughout the whole semester. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the actual assignment sheet. That's this link here. Let me pull this up for you, bump it up here so we can all kind of take a look at this together. So what you can see here is this is your final paper assignment. Over the course of the semester, you're going to learn about a lot of different university resources to assist you in sort of your survival as a university student. You're going to start to engage in the process of conducting research, specifically academic research. We're going to go sort of beyond the using Google, which you all already know how to do. And then we're going to learn how to connect and incorporate some of those ideas and concepts, okay? So the purpose of this paper is to research and communicate in writing your understanding of one first-year student issue. And so your paper should include the following. And I'm going to get to the issues here that you can choose from, and then we'll sort of talk about that. But before we get to that, I want to make sure that you understand what your paper needs to include. So you need to provide an introduction to your paper, an introductory paragraph where you're setting up the thesis of the paper, the point of the paper. I don't know about you, but I often find introductions really difficult to write. And so if you are also one of those people, I have found that a nice tip sometimes is to just start writing the rest of the paper. You can always go back and add the introduction later. I sometimes do that when I'm writing. So don't feel like if you're staring at that blank document and the cursor is like, just staring at you, you don't have to start with the introduction. You can start writing all the other stuff that you know first, okay? But you need to have an introductory paragraph. You need to have a significant discussion section where you are talking about the issue that you've selected and why a student needs to be aware of that chosen issue. This is probably the section of the paper where it's going to be the easiest to include some of your research in this section because you are going to be conducting some research, okay? The next thing that you need to include, and everyone needs to do this in their paper, is that you need to include a personal plan. So what that means, and I want you to think about that before choosing the issue that you want to focus on, because ideally it's something that you personally would like to work on or be aware of, because you are going to have to articulate some kind of personal plan for how you are going to attempt to be successful in this chosen issue, okay? You're also going to need to have a section where you're going to identify some advice that you would give to an incoming student on how to be successful with that topic, that issue that you've chosen. And then finally, you're going to wrap your paper up by providing a conclusion. This is where you're going to sort of summarize the content and purpose of your paper, and maybe provide a brief reflection, or if you would like to do that. So I'm showing you right here, this is how you want to organize your paper, okay? I know sometimes it's difficult for students to figure out how they want to organize it. I'm telling you here how you organize it. I want an introduction. I want a discussion. I want you to articulate that personal plan. I want you to provide some really good specific advice for your fellow students, and then you need to provide a conclusion, okay? So as you can see on the assignment sheet, I've pre-selected some student issues for you to choose from. However, if you would like to focus on a different topic, you have to obtain approval from me. And the reason that I want you to obtain approval from me is because I will do a quick look into the academic research that's out there to see if there's going to be enough for you to find so that you can incorporate research into this paper. Sometimes I'll have students who ask me if they can focus on something super specific, and there just isn't enough research out there yet. And so you're just not going to be able to write a paper if you're not able to find any research. So I have this sort of a nice list here for you to start from. Most people choose from this list. Again, if you want to do something else, shoot off a quick email to me and let me know, and I'll get back to you and let you know if what you want to do is okay. But we can look at academic advising, sort of the purpose of academic advising, how students need to approach academic advising, get alcohol and drug use, or you could do alcohol or drug use. You could just focus on alcohol or drug use for college students. In getting involved on campus, like, is that something that's useful for students? What are some things students may want to be aware of? Career development. So what is it that maybe colleges and universities are doing with regards to helping students figure out their career path, and what are some things that students can do to help themselves? Financial literacy, that can be something you can either, if you want to focus on that, you could do it as like, understanding financial aid and student loans and what students need to be aware of. Or you could also focus it on like what it means to create a budget, how to balance checkbook, things like that. Sexual violence prevention. This one is something that I often have a lot of students write about, and it's something obviously that if this is something you want to do, great, but do remember that one of the required components of this assignment is to have a personal plan. And so if it's something, you need to come up with a personal plan on how you would deal with that. So make sure that you sort of be thinking about that as you're writing the paper. Time management, that's a big one. There's lots of good research out there on time management, and so I have a lot of students often focus on that. And then finally, the last one I suggest is that of wellness. I would either choose either mental or physical wellness. There's a lot out there on both of those for college students. If you focus on both, you may have trouble sort of narrowing some things down, but that's a great option as well. So your paper needs to be about 4 pages long. And we're looking at double-spaced. You must use MLA style formatting. We are going to talk more about MLA throughout the semester. So if you're hearing that for the first time and you're like, I have no idea what that is, don't worry. We'll start talking about that, I think, around week 3 or week 4, maybe of the semester. I can't remember for sure, but we'll start talking about that. But just as an example, your paper needs to have 1-inch margins. You're going to want to use Times New Roman 12-point font. You are going to have a works cited page. You need to use proper in-text citations, which means if you quote or pull something from some of your research, you need to properly cite that. I have some really great resources that I'll be sharing with you throughout the semester that will help you sort of sort all of that out. Please do know that your works cited page does not count towards your 4 pages, so that's an additional page. You only need to include 2 sources in this assignment, and they need to be either from a book or a journal or a magazine or a newspaper article found in Kent Library or in one of the library subscription databases that supports your chosen issue. We're going to have a whole unit on library subscription databases, so you're going to know how to use those with no problem here fairly early in the semester. So again, if you're like, what's a library subscription database? You will know that here in a few weeks. You may not use any I don't want you to use any sources from Google. You already know how to use Google. The point of this is to learn something different, specifically as it relates to conducting more academic research, because this is an academic paper. You are welcome to reference your textbook. However, it can't count as one of your sources, okay? You can also include any information that you learn from class assignments or forum postings or things like that. Again, that can't count as one of your sources, but you're welcome to obviously incorporate that into the paper. So in order to make sure everyone's on track, you're going to submit your final paper topic. So the issue that you're going to focus on during a forum posting during the 8th week of the semester. That forum posting will be listed under the assignment section of the website, so you'll be able to see that with no problem. Your final paper will be due on Sunday, April 28th. So obviously you have some time to think about this and work on it. It's going to be uploaded under week 15 on the website. There will be a link that says final paper under the assignments heading. That is where you will upload the paper. This is the one assignment all semester where if you have a late submission, I will actually take a late submission up to 48 hours after the due date. However, I will automatically deduct 30 points off of the top of the paper, which means that you'll start off with a 70 out of 100, and I hadn't even scored it yet. So it is in your best interest to submit this on time, but certainly if it's between not submitting it at all or submitting it late, definitely go ahead and submit it late, okay? There are no exceptions to this policy. You're hopefully watching this in January. This is not due until April, and so you have plenty of time to be thinking about this. Also provided you here on the second page a rubric. This is how I'll be scoring your paper. The overall paper is worth 100 points. You can see the point breakdown for each of those required components that I've listed up here, and you can see that most of the points go to that personal plan. I really want you to concentrate on that. I've also included some points for just sort of the overall cohesiveness of the paper, your spelling and grammar, just a few points on that, the sources that you used, and then making sure that you used appropriate MLA style formatting, okay? So please do kind of review this rubric. If you want an A, you're going to want to hit everything in this column. If you want a B or a C, you focus on this column, and if you don't really care, then you could sort of focus on this column, I guess, okay? But this is the rubric that I have pulled up whenever I'm scoring your paper. So do make sure that you sort of review this carefully. If you have any questions, please let me know, and the sooner the better. Don't wait until the last minute on this, but I look forward to reading what you all put together. Thanks, and have a good one.